And now this story stays on my mind. Either this was a horrible tragedy or a crime well covered up. I was doing some research on another story when I came across this one. It shocked me. I have never heard of this story, and I live 45 minutes from Albany. My job sends me there a few times a week now. On January 22nd, 2017, a tornado would touch down around 3:15 in Albany, category EF3. Speeds would be as high as 155 miles per hour. Pinewood Estate Mobile Home Park was right in the pathway of destruction, ripping, shredding, and tearing anything apart that stood in its way. Only one trailer was left standing, with a tree that had fell and split it open. Nothing was left there, scraps and debris, memories of families that once lived there. It now looked like a pile of rubbish. It was hard to believe it was once a community filled with families. The residents would now sift through the mess that Mother Nature left behind, trying to salvage whatever they could. The residents of the park were relocated to Albany Civic Center for temporary housing. When the tornado was over, 5 people in Albany had lost their lives. 40 people were injured, and over 80 people were temporarily missing, displaced. Many were now homeless. It would take less than 1 hour for a freak of nature to turn lives upside down, some lives forever. A call to 911 was placed. A mother said her 2-year-old son was missing. Detrez Green is his name. WALB News said the tornado had touched down at 3:10, and it had taken 5 hours for her to call the police to report the baby missing. She called 911 at 8:10 p.m. She would report her son was missing from 3527 Sylvester Road, Lot 8, Pinewood Estates Mobile Home Park. I do know that the uncle, Green's brother, Jerry, was at the trailer looking for the baby. It seems to be that Jerry was assuring his boss through the cell phone video that he was looking for his nephew. A resident from the trailer park said that there were no screaming, yelling, crying, nothing, and looking for this child. When the community heard about this missing child, over 200 volunteers asked to help and formed search parties to look for the 2-year-old. He's dead or scared under a pile of rubble. Cadaver dogs would try to locate Detrez. Nothing was found, not even a scent of the missing child was left behind. The parents of Detrez says that he was, quote, swept away by the storm, end quote. The scraps left over were Detrez family called home. It was now collapsed. An oak tree on it, a pile of tin. You could see remnants that a child lived there. However, Detrez has an older sibling that lived there too. As gossip and rumors would rear its ugly face, neighbors would say they didn't recall that a child living there by the name Detrez. Suspicions were now falling on the parents. Most of the time, unfortunately, this happens. Why did it take so long to call authorities? Why weren't they helping search for their own son? More importantly, how come the parents hadn't publicly given any interviews to the local media other than the day Detrez was said to have gone missing? A news reporter would ask Green what happened. He explained that his son was by him, close by. When the tree fell through and split the trailer, he was on the other side of the trailer and they had lost him. However, they were able to retrieve the other child that was in the home. Adjunct Rainey and Kavion Green, Detrez's parents, they had a toxic and violent relationship. Green had been arrested at least 6 times in a span of a few years, and 3 of those arrests were domestic abuse charges. Rainey had strayed away from her family, moving further and further after she had gotten into this relationship with Green, which was toxic and volatile. There was lots of physical abuse in the home. Years later, before Rainey knew Green, in 2010, he was 22 years old, married truck driver, whose marriage was falling apart with 2 very young children. He was also very physically abusive to his then wife. His wife said that he had beaten her 1 time in front of their children. Now, Green was 7 years older than Rainey. They started dating while she was in high school, and her family begged her not to continue the courtship, but she did. Rainey's aunt's sister to Rainey's father, Leica Coley, she would speak about that. She said she was like a second mother to her niece, being that Rainey's mother lived out of town. The aunt said that she would send the police numerous times to do welfare checks on her niece. She said something wasn't right in that home. She was fearing whatever was going on. The day of the storm, she got in touch with Rainey, and her niece said everything was fine. She hadn't mentioned that her son was gone. She strongly believes that something intentional or accidental had happened to Detrez, and this was way before the storm. She would find out in 2012 that Rainey was seeing Green in a Facebook post. Rainey posted that she was engaged to Green, who was still legally married. He would remain married another 2 years after that post. In 2013, the couple would move into a trailer with trash bags that covered the windows. The police had went to that home. Rainey and Green were arguing over something that a, quote, friend, unquote, had said on Facebook page. She was pregnant and cooking when he started to punch her in the head over and over again. He now was hitting her in the head against a wooden pole. She had fell to the floor and curled up in a fetal position. She was, quote, hollering and screaming, unquote. He then picked her up by her neck while her feet was dangling and choked her. Kavion Green was arrested, and he wrote in a statement that Adjunct Rainey had put those marks on herself. Weeks later, the couple would find themselves back together after Rainey had given birth to Detrez's older brother. Rainey would post on Facebook, quote, "This was the greatest thing that has happened to us." In 2014, the couple was living in Ashburn, Georgia, on Pinecoat Road. It's believed it was Rainey's mother that had called 911. Green was holding Rainey and their children hostage at gunpoint. Detrez was only 6 days old. Rainey was quoted while talking over the phone with her father, quote, "If my baby daddy doesn't stop beating me, I'm going to shoot him." When police arrived, Rainey would tell them that it was all just a misunderstanding, and the charges were dropped, which is classic domestic abuse behavior. Rainey had been beaten, locked in rooms, guns constantly pulled out on her. She spent little time with her family. So even though Detrez was only just an infant, That was the atmosphere him and his older brother were living in. $1 million was spent by 2018 trying to find Detrez. Rescuers going door to door, looking in bodies of water, going to Green's parents' former home, unearthing the ground, looking for Detrez. Nothing was found. So it's painting a picture of something has happened to Detrez, and that the parents know exactly what has happened. And speaking of pictures, there hasn't been one picture of this baby given to the police. If there were phones that were lost in 2017, authorities could find ways of retrieving photos. Cell phone companies can go as way back as 7 years to find data. Were no pictures of this baby not posted on social media? Why weren't there any pictures taken of this child? And to date, police still have confirmed they have never received any pictures of Detrez. A forensic artist couldn't draw a picture of Detrez? I mean, they draw them of murderers and rapists. They couldn't draw one of this baby? How do you look for a child that has no face? It's been 7 years. We can't do an age progression. We have no idea of what Detrez looks like. Did he have birthmarks? What color was his eyes? Any unique features? Nothing was told to the police. People were wondering if Detrez even existed. Was this a scam to get money and donations? He did exist. He was born on October 28, 2014. The Department of Family Children Services have a birth certificate that was issued to his parents. People passed away during this tornado. People lost everything that they had worked so hard for during this tornado. People were only left with the clothing on their backs. Many people in the city of Albany will never forget the tornado on January 22nd, 2017. Over 6 years later, Detrez would be around 9 years old now. His grandfather, Willie Rainey, says that he believes that his great-grandson is dead and that he will never have a chance to celebrate any of his birthdays. He was hoping that Adage would come forth and tell what happened to our son. He believes that she is scared. The remaining child had been taken away from Rainey and Green. In an article dated 2020, they no longer had custody. What has happened to Detrez? And now this story stays on my mind.
Hey George, this Jerry, man. I'm just letting you know I went line, trying to help my brother. This is a trailer that a tornado had messed up. My brother right over there with his hat, his friend in the back, my cousin. I'm inside this trailer.
You think your microwave work?
Yeah, it worked. It worked.
Some of this stuff, man, May might come back and get, but.
So I'm trying to sound. I wasn't lying about calling that, man. Like trying to find my nephew. You hear tractors in the background. We got police officers everywhere. That's the sofa chair. Like I said, I've been searching down here everywhere. Oh man, yes. Trying to hit my brother's trailer, man. Trying to find my nephew. This year, man. I'm just letting you know I went line. Trying to hit my brother. This is a trailer that a tornado had messed up. My brother right over there with his hat. His friend in the back. My cousin. I'm inside this trailer.
You think your microwave work?
Yeah, it worked.
So,
It worked.
some of this stuff, man, May might come back and get, but.
So I'm trying to sound. I wasn't lying about calling that, man. Like trying to find my nephew. You hear tractors in the background. We got police officers everywhere. That's the sofa chair. Like I said, I've been searching down here everywhere. Oh man, yes. Tornado hit my brother's trailer, man. Trying to find my nephew. This is the trailer. No lie.